Oh, hang on. I gotta. Heart still pounding. If your heart was not pounding actually watching these games, you might want to check your pulse, because without a shadow of a doubt, these are the best two semifinals that we have ever had. And what a way to close out the era of the 14 field. Next year, we're moving into 12. Next year, there's a whole bunch of conferences adding a whole bunch of new teams. The Pac-12 is dead. Oregon State and Washington State are going to go play as FBS independents next year. You have the Big 10 with 18 teams. You're going to have the Big 12 with 16. You're going to have the SEC with 16. You're going to have the ACC with 17. I mean, it's just nuts, right? Next year is going to be crazy. But cherish what we just witnessed tonight. I've already talked about Alabama and Michigan a little bit here. Again, I'm going to save a lot of my in-depth thoughts for tomorrow's video, where I'm going to kind of dive in deeper and talk about the intricacies of what happened there and really preview what I think is going to take place in the national championship. I'll release a bigger preview there as well. But welcome to my instant reaction after the Sugar Bowl. Oh, my heart is still going. I mean, yeah, still racing. Again, best two semifinals that we have had in the 4-team era. I don't think that is arguable. There have been a lot of very, very good games. There have never been two games like what I just watched downstairs back to back. That was freaking awesome. And I don't care if you had a horse in the race or you didn't, you had to have enjoyed what you went on down there. Now, I know for Crimson Tide fans, and in this video, Longhorn fans, going to be a little tough to swallow. But let's break down that second half, shall we? It was all Washington in that third quarter. And Michael Penix Jr. still could not have looked better. And while Quinn Ewers looked better, Texas really was beating themselves. Again, there was more penalties. There were turnovers. They were having fits even returning the kickoff, right? That there were so many things still plaguing Texas. That turnover that they had down late, I believe it was C.J. Baxter that ended up letting it go. Maybe it was Jaden Blue. The memory is still a little fuzzy, especially because of what transpired there in the final about 15 minutes of real life and final like 15 seconds of gameplay. Don't worry, we'll get there. But the third quarter was controlled by the Washington Huskies. It was, flat out. And you kind of looked at that, and they had controlled the ball for 12 and a half minutes in that third quarter. Michael Penix was still looking amazing. This was a Husky defense that was forcing takeaways and forcing miscues and taking advantage of everything Texas was giving them. And at that point, you kind of got to figure, ship has sailed, right? The game is over. No, not at all. Because Texas, for the first, I believe it was about 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that, of that first half, they outgained Washington by well more than 100 yards. There was a period in that quarter where Washington had negative yards. I think they had -1 total yard in that fourth quarter, and the script completely flipped. I mean, Ewers could not have looked better. The Texas defensive intensity absolutely ramped up. They were still providing pressure to Michael Penix. I don't think Michael Penix got sacked once today, though, so that's something to keep in mind moving on into the national championship. But, I mean, just... So, you get Texas, so Washington, the one thing that probably plagued a lot of Husky fans in that third quarter was that you got a couple field goals instead of touchdowns. Now, I know at this point that's kind of water under the bridge because the final score is what it is and has gone officially final, but I mean, you still look at that, you still look at that, and there would not have been drama down the stretch if Washington would have converted. Now, give a lot of credit to the Texas defense. They stepped up. They made some plays. Washington beat themselves with penalties. Now, they did come away with points. They still got those points, and those two field goals, if you look at the final score line, helped Washington win this game, because without those, Texas probably kicks a field goal down at the end if they miss one, and if they miss two, you're likely sitting at home watching the national championship game. But I've teased it so much, let's talk about what happened there at the end. So Texas goes down and scores. They make it 34-28. At this point, all Washington has to do is play the time of possession battle. Now, we know this is the Washington offense that at times likes to work fast. However, it really did a very nice job at being able to get a lot of time off the clock. They controlled the tempo really, really well. They went down, got a field goal, and then Texas did the exact same thing. So a very nice quick drive by Texas. I think there was 2:40 on the clock. They drove down the field with like a minute, something like that. And with like a minute something. I believe there was minute and 12 seconds left, something along those lines. But very smart decision, I think, by Steve Sarkisian to get that field goal then and not try to get that touchdown now. Now, obviously, hindsight is 20/20. If they would have gotten that touchdown then they could have gone and kicked the game-winning field goal. But again, hindsight 20/20. I thoroughly agree with the decision to get that field goal while you could get it, because if you don't get a touchdown there, then the game is over right there. So getting the points while you can, that was a very good decision there by Steve Sarkisian. I don't think that is arguable, by the way. I know there may be some people like, you should have gone for the touchdown then. We could have won the game. Barring the circumstances and everything, you had to take the points where you could get them. Because again, if you don't get them, game's over. So Washington is driving down, or not necessarily driving, but they recover the onside kick, and they're winding down the clock, okay? Texas calls their 2 timeouts, and then Washington is going to run down the clock. Texas is going to have maybe 15, 20 seconds left from about their own 3-yard line or wherever the punt gets down. No, a Washington player gets hurt. Now, I have not seen anyone out there that has done this yet, and I feel like it goes without saying, but knowing some people in the college football community, I think I have to say it, do not be attacking that player for getting hurt. Injuries are what they are. He went down with an injury. Unfortunate. We'll make sure that that player is okay, but saying that, oh, that injury almost cost Washington the game, no, just no. I'm not even going to put up with that. The guy got hurt. I feel really bad for him. I never wish injury upon anybody. Injury is such an unfortunate thing. No. Just no. Okay, anyway, Texas gets the ball back with around 45 seconds left, and Quinn Ewers looks dynamite. He's throwing dimes after dimes. Now, it didn't start out that way. Missed a couple throws to Jatavian Sanders there. Was very off pace, but they were able to get it going down the field. Whittington with one-on-one coverage. They focused so much on guys like Worthy and A.D. Mitchell. Whittington had a one-on-one downfield, and he won it. And then they get moving, right? And they finally get it down to the 12-yard line, and Washington brings pressure, right? Washington brings pressure. There's 5 seconds left. Forces Quinn Ewers to get rid of it. Ball's out of bounds. 1 second left. Sound familiar, Longhorn faithful? Except this time, it didn't work out too well for Texas, and they tried to hit, I believe it was A.D. Mitchell, one-on-one in the end zone. That ended up scoring a touchdown for them earlier in the game, and just a phenomenal play by that defensive back to come over and swat it away, and that is how the game ends. Whew, I don't know about you guys, but I am out of breath today. I mean, first of all, that Michigan-Bama game was phenomenal. That Texas-Washington game was phenomenal. And Michigan-Washington, future Big Ten matchup, by the way, I think they may even play in the regular season next year, will be your national championship game from Houston. And that is going to be a very fun one. You got the best 2 semifinals probably in college football history right there. Now, again, you could argue, okay, sure, you throw in Ohio State, Georgia from last year, you throw in Ohio State, Clemson, you throw in Oklahoma and Georgia in the Rose Bowl, the only other Rose Bowl to get into overtime. Some of the national championship games have been phenomenal, yada, yada, yada. But back-to-back, in terms of you play one semifinal and you stay on the TV station and you watch the second semifinal right thereafter, those are the best 2 semifinals in college football history. And the 4-team field going away next season. We're going to get games like that all throughout the 12-team field next year, but better cherish it now. National championship game on January 8th. Hey, there's going to be a video coming out tomorrow where I break down Michigan, Bama, and Texas, Washington in a little bit of greater depth, give you a little sneak preview into the national championship game before my preview will come out later that week, probably on like Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. So, hey, I appreciate all you guys watching. Again, I tried something new. Let me know if I should continue doing stuff like this for the national championship game for next year, whatever. I don't have the capabilities to live stream yet. When I do, I'll figure it out, but I don't quite now. But thank you all so much for watching these videos. Hope you have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow when I break down these 2 matchups. Play hard, but tailgate harder, and have a good night.